Bronny James is still on the Los Angeles Lakers roster. His father is not. LeBron James signed with the Philadelphia 76ers this month, ending an 8-year run in purple and gold. And that left one big question hanging in the air. What happens to the son he shared a locker room with? Reports started circulating the moment LeBron told the Lakers he was moving on. Some had Bronny packing his bags for Philadelphia. Others had him getting shipped to Cleveland for nothing more than second-round picks. A 3-team blockbuster even surfaced with his name attached to it. And it didn't involve his father's new team at all. So which one is it? Does Bronny follow his dad east? Does he stay put in LA? Or does he land somewhere neither of them saw coming? Bronny James got pushed toward the trade market the second LeBron picked Philadelphia. And how that's unfolding is where we start. The roster question nobody expected. For 8 years, the Bronny story and the LeBron story were the same story. Bronny grew up around the Lakers organization. And once he turned pro, every milestone he hit got filed under his father's name. The Lakers drafted him with the 55th pick in 2024. And that October, the two of them checked into a game together, becoming the first player in league history to have a son as a teammate. That connection is exactly why the trade rumors exploded the moment LeBron's free agency turned serious. Here's the sequence. LeBron told the Lakers he wanted out, and the reporting on that hit fast. The league's all-time leading scorer had reportedly informed the Lakers that he planned to play elsewhere for his 24th NBA season. The moment that broke, Bronny's name started trending right alongside it. Not because of anything Bronny did on the floor, because of what his father's exit meant for his own spot on the roster. The speculation split into two camps almost immediately. One camp figured Bronny would follow his dad wherever he landed: Cleveland, Miami, Golden State, wherever the drama took LeBron. The other camp figured the Lakers would use Bronny as a trade chip to squeeze value out of the situation, since keeping a bench guard around with no LeBron in the building suddenly looked a lot less necessary. Front office sports reporter Alex Schiffer fed that second camp directly, reporting that multiple front office sources from teams in the mix for LeBron said they discussed acquiring Bronny should his father pick their team. That's not fan speculation. That's actual front offices, in actual meetings, weighing whether the son comes as a bonus attached to the father. Then LeBron made his call. He picked Philadelphia, agreeing to a 2-year, $8 million deal with the 76ers. https://sports.yero.com/NBA Leaf Live NBA Free Agency News 2026. LeBron James $154,613,859.html after weeks of the league waiting on him. And that's when the Bronny question stopped being theoretical and became urgent. Was he getting scooped up by the Sixers too? Was some sign and trade coming that packaged him into the same deal? For about 48 hours, that's exactly what a chunk of the NBA internet assumed. It didn't happen that way. Rich Paul, who represents both James men through Clutch Sports, shut it down directly. Paul told ESPN's Ramona Shelburne that Bronny and LeBron are not a package deal, and that there's no current plan or request for Bronny to join his father in Philadelphia. That single line from Bronny's own agent reframed the entire conversation. If the agent representing both players says there's no plan for a reunion, the Bronny follows dad theory takes a direct hit right out of the gate. But here's where it gets messier, not simpler. Just because Bronny isn't walking into Philadelphia doesn't mean he's safe in Los Angeles. The Lakers have been remarkably consistent in saying Bronny isn't going anywhere by choice, but the league doesn't run on comfort. It runs on leverage. And once word got out that LeBron had actually chosen his team, the trade machine around Bronny didn't quiet down. It got louder with different destinations, different price tags, and different motives than anyone expected when this story started. That's the part of this that needs untangling. Not whether Bronny wanted to leave, but whether the business of the NBA was about to make that decision for him regardless. Part 2, what the Lakers actually said about him before getting into where Bronny might land. It matters what the team currently holding his contract has actually said, because the Lakers have not been quiet about this. The clearest signal came from inside the building itself. As LeBron's free agency dragged into its final stretch, ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reported that the Lakers view Bronny James as part of the team and have absolutely no motivation to trade him elsewhere. https://clutchpoints.com's ZNBA/Los Angeles Lakers rumors Bronny James plan LeBron 76ers. Not no motivation right now. No motivation. Period. That's a pointed thing for a front office to put on record about a guy who's played a total of 69 NBA games across 2 seasons. The Athletic's Dan Wyke went further, framing it as a myth that needed correcting even before LeBron picked a team. Wyke reported that the assumption that father and son would stay linked going forward is false, adding that Bronny is well liked within the Lakers locker room. https://bleacherreport.com/locker articles 25,457,722 new Bronny James trade rumors Lakers future after LeBron joined 76ers 2-year contract. That's a specific detail worth sitting with. Not just that the front office likes his contract situation, but that his own teammates like having him around. That's not the profile of a guy getting quietly nudged out the door. Then there's the money, which tells its own story. Reports from The Athletic pushed back directly on the idea that Bronny's roster spot was ever tied to his father's presence, noting that the Lakers regard the 21-year-old guard as a valuable long-term developmental asset, securing his guaranteed salary of $2.3 million as he prepares for his third professional season with the team. https://clutchpoints.com's NBA Los Angeles Lakers NBA rumors Lakers trade secret behind Bronny James following LeBron James' new team. Teams don't guarantee salary on players they're planning to cut loose the moment convenient. Guaranteeing that money right as LeBron walked out the door was, in effect, the Lakers putting their signature on the idea that Bronny earned his spot independent of his dad. Silver Screen and Roll summed up the sentiment bluntly. The site reported that unless a trade genuinely makes basketball sense for Los Angeles, Bronny James will remain a Laker, and noted that reports have consistently indicated his future isn't tethered to his father's. He remains part of the young core the Lakers are building around Luka Doncic. And this is where the coaching staff's fingerprints show up. Head coach J.J. Redick made a point, back at Bronny's introductory press conference, of drawing a hard line under how this kid got his roster spot in the first place. Redick told reporters directly that he and Lakers president Rob Pelinka did not give Bronny anything, that Bronny had earned this through hard work. https://www.si.com's J.J. Redick clarifies Bronny James earned Lakers opportunity through hard work 01J1THA-CX. He went a step further, calling Bronny case study number 1 for how the Lakers wanted to build out player development going forward, citing his feel for the game, his athleticism, his defense, his shooting and passing as things worth investing in on their own merits. That's not a throwaway line for a press conference. Redick has repeated versions of that framing throughout Bronny's 2 seasons. He's called him a development player from day one, saying explicitly that Bronny would spend time bouncing between the NBA roster and the G League as part of building out the Lakers player development program. That's a coach talking about a project, not a favor. So on paper, the organization's position looks airtight. Guaranteed money, public statements from the front office, a coach on record saying the kid earned it, locker room affection. None of that reads like a player getting shown the door. But there's a wrinkle buried in the same reporting that undercuts the "he's totally safe" narrative, and it's the wrinkle that turned this into a real story instead of a non-story. Part 3. The trade package is sitting on the table. Here's the tension nobody wants to say out loud. The Lakers publicly insisting Bronny isn't going anywhere, and the Lakers privately fielding calls about moving him, are not contradictions. They can both be true at once, and multiple reports suggest exactly that's what's happening behind the scenes. Start with the clearest version of it. Clutch Points reported that while the organization values Bronny's development, rival teams attempting to land LeBron could trigger a trade if they offer the Lakers an asset. https://clutchpoints.com Sef NBA Los Angeles Lakers NBA rumors Lakers trade secret behind Bronny James following LeBron James' new team. That's the actual mechanism at play here. It was never about the Lakers wanting Bronny gone. It was about whether somebody made an offer good enough to change the math. The New York Post reportedly laid out the real hinge point. The key to any Bronny trade wasn't Lakers' motivation at all. It was whether LeBron's prospective new team was willing to offer the Lakers a meaningful asset for Bronny's acquisition. https://clutchpoints.com /NBA/Longe Ellis Lakers NBA rumors Lakers trade secret behind Bronny James following LeBron James' new team. In other words, this was never a story about whether Bronny is wanted. It's a story about whether he's tradable, and on that question, the answer is very clearly yes. Because of the contract numbers involved, Bronny's situation makes him one of the easiest trade chips in the league right now. Reports note that with Bronny's $2 million contract being relatively easy to trade, and with LeBron no longer in LA, moving the young guard presents one of the simplest solutions to balance the roster. https://clutchpoints.com's NBA/Los Angeles Lakers NBA rumors Lakers trade secret behind Bronny James following LeBron James' new team, alongside stars like Doncic and Austin Reeves. A cheap, movable salary is exactly the kind of piece that gets used to finish off a bigger trade. even if nobody involved actually wants Bronny specifically. And that's precisely what surfaced days after LeBron picked Philadelphia. Yahoo Sports reported a proposed three-team framework where the Lakers would send Bronny to the Sixers, while pulling in Daniel Gafford from Dallas, sending Jared Vanderbilt and Jake LaRavia to the Mavericks, along with a 2032 first-round pick and second-round selections in 2027, 2028, and 2033. https://sports.yo.com articles Lakers proposed trade Bronny James, 151,008,619.html. Under that framework, the Lakers land a rotation-caliber center to fix their front court, and Bronny becomes the connective tissue that makes the numbers work, not the centerpiece, but the piece nobody minds giving up if it lands them size at center. Separately, Heavy.com pitched a version of this involving Cleveland instead of Philadelphia, floating a package of future second-round picks, https://heavy.com sports NBA/Los Angeles Lakers Bronny James NBA trade rumors Cavaliers Cavs as the return the Lakers could realistically expect. Third apron analyst Yossi Goslin even sketched out how Bronny could slot into an existing trade exception structure, noting that Bronny would fit nicely into that Eric Gordon trade exception, and that the Sixers have plenty of second-round picks to get a deal done. https://heavy.com sports NBA Los Angeles Lakers Bronny James NBA trade rumors Cavaliers Cavs/. Whether it's Philadelphia or Cleveland at the other end, the shape of these proposals is the same. Bronny as filler value in a deal that's really about somebody else. That's the part that stings if you're rooting for the kid. None of these packages are built around what Bronny brings on the floor. They're built around cap mechanics, his cheap salary fitting into an exception, his contract balancing out bigger names moving elsewhere. Heavy.com framed it plainly, noting that a trade sending him to Cleveland would be low risk for the Cavs, for a guard who'd generate a bit of buzz, but not one built around real production. And it's worth remembering what's driving the roster crunch that makes all this plausible in the first place. The Lakers reshaped their whole roster this summer to fit around Doncic, and reports note that with Walker Kessler and a group of new role players coming in, plus Kevon Looney and Matisse Thybulle deals becoming official, the team will have 16 guaranteed contracts on the books. https://www.nbcsports.com's NBA News NBA offseason trade free agent rumors 2026 Lakers calling Kuminga D'Angelo Russell to hit market. One over the roster limit. Somebody has to go. Bronny's name keeps surfacing in that math, not because he's wanted elsewhere, but because he's cheap enough to move without the Lakers losing anything they actually need. So the picture that forms isn't a front office turning on him. It's a front office that would happily keep him, right up until the moment a good enough offer for somebody else requires his salary to make the numbers balance. That's not personal. It's just how rosters get built. But if you're the guy whose name keeps popping up in packages designed around other people's futures, it can feel exactly like getting pushed aside, whether or not that was ever the intent. Part 4. What Bronny has actually been building. While all of that noise swirled around him, Bronny was doing something that got almost no attention in comparison. He was actually getting better. His rookie year was rough by any measure. He appeared in 27 games, averaging 2.3 points, 0.7 rebounds, and 0.8 assists in 6.7 minutes per game. Shooting 31.3% from the field. https://www.rotowire.com's basketball playbook. Bronny James 6,251. Those are numbers that would sink most 55th picks into obscurity. But Bronny wasn't most 55th picks, because every one of those numbers got dissected on national television, and every miss got framed as proof he didn't belong. Down in the G League, though, a different player was showing up. In his rookie G League season with the South Bay Lakers, he strung together a stretch where he set new career highs almost weekly, at one point erupting for 39 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals in a win over Santa Cruz. https://www.yesi.com/college USC basketball Bronny James Dre League career high South Bay Los Angeles Lakers LeBron James Dre Redick US Trojans NBA rookie an outburst that came less than a week after he'd set his own NBA career high of 17 points against Milwaukee. After that game against Santa Cruz, Bronny told reporters the whole stretch came down to proving something simple: that he belongs out there. That's all he's trying to prove, and that all the criticism thrown his way, it's amazing to shut all that down and keep going. That framing, the doubt, the criticism, the grind to answer it, became the through line of his whole developmental arc. J.J. Redick, who made a specific promise to LeBron early on that he'd coach Bronny like any other player and not just as LeBron's son, kept circling back to conditioning as the single biggest lever. Redick told ESPN bluntly that the biggest thing for Bronny is that he has to get in elite shape. That's the barrier of entry for him right now, and if he does that, he's got a chance to be a really fantastic player in the NBA. https://www.si.com's NBA Bronny James Shape NBA. He even gave Bronny 2 players to model his game after: Miami's Davion Mitchell and Indiana's TJ McConnell, both known for physicality and two-way stamina rather than flash. Bronny appeared to take that seriously. His second season looked different across the board. He played in 42 games, an increase from the 27 he'd appeared in as a rookie. https://www.foxnews.com's Sports LeBron James Bronny James, not package deal 76ers agent Rich Paul. And while his scoring average stayed modest at 2.9 points per game, the role itself had changed. He was trusted with more possessions, more minutes in real NBA games instead of mop-up duty. Down in the G League that same season, his production jumped again, with Bronny logging averages of roughly 15.6 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per night on strong shooting splits, numbers that made him one of the more productive young guards in that league. Redick noticed, after a March game against Brooklyn, where Bronny hit a 3 off a pass from his own father, marking the first father-son assist in NBA history. https://www.aol.com's articles Lakers Bronny James decision Wizards 203,217,159.html. Redick told reporters afterward that he was genuinely happy with where Bronny was heading as a player, adding that the staff had to put him into that game, even though he wasn't originally scheduled for those minutes. That's a coach describing a player who's earning trust in real time, not one who's simply along for the ride. Bronny has echoed that sense of progress himself. Speaking about his own development, he said flatly that he feels he's improved not just as a player, but in his mindset, that he's out there playing the game the way he knows how to play it, and that he genuinely feels good about where things stand. Not the words of a guy who thinks he's about to get shipped out as an afterthought in someone else's trade. Bleacher Report picked up on this shift too, framing Bronny's trajectory in plain terms, that the Lakers clearly view him as a legitimate NBA player and more than just someone they drafted because his father was on the team, and that while he's still far from a starting caliber player, he has the makings of a genuine 3-and-D piece off the bench. That's a meaningfully different profile than the one attached to him on draft night, when most of the conversation started and ended with his last name, all of which makes the trade noise around him land differently once you actually look at the arc. This isn't a guy whose stock has been sliding since his father announced he was leaving. If anything, his stock has been rising the whole time, steadily, quietly, mostly out of the spotlight his father used to cast over every one of his games. The question was never really about talent. It was about whether that development would get the chance to keep happening in the same building, or whether business would move him somewhere else before he got the shot to prove it out. Part 5, where this actually lands. So where does this leave things? Bronny is still a Laker as of this recording, and every signal from inside the organization says that's the plan going forward, barring an offer they can't turn down. The most direct confirmation came straight from his own representation. Rich Paul didn't hedge when he addressed the reunion talk. He told ESPN plainly they are not a package deal, closing the door on the idea that LeBron's decision would automatically drag his son along with him. Silver Screen and Roll picked up on how notable that bluntness was, pointing out that if there'd been real momentum toward Bronny joining Philadelphia, Paul stating there is no current plan for a move, and considering how late into free agency it is, suggests the most likely outcome is Bronny remaining a Laker. Meanwhile, the roster around him has been filling in with names that suggest a real plan, not a placeholder. The backcourt is set to run through Doncic, with Austin Reeves staying as a key piece, and the Lakers have layered in complementary pieces like Quentin Grimes and Colin Sexton, while young players such as Adou Thiero and Dalton Knecht are expected back in the mix. That's a roster being built with a shape in mind, and reports consistently note Bronny is still penciled into that picture rather than erased from it. None of that means the trade conversation disappears completely. As long as his salary stays cheap and easy to move, his name will keep surfacing anytime a front office somewhere needs a small piece to balance a bigger deal. That's just what happens to inexpensive, guaranteed contracts around the league. They get floated in packages that have nothing to do with the player himself. It happened with the Gafford framework. It happened with the Cleveland pitch. It'll likely happen again before the season tips off, attached to whatever star gets moved next. But floating in trade packages and getting pushed aside by your own team are two different things, and the reporting draws that line pretty clearly. The Lakers guaranteed his money right as his father walked out the door. His coach has spent 2 years building a program around him specifically, not around his last name. His own locker room reportedly likes having him there, and his production out of the spotlight has been climbing every single season he's been a pro. What actually happened here is less dramatic than the initial panic suggested, but it's not nothing either. LeBron's exit did put Bronny's name on more desks around the league than it had been on in 2 years combined. Teams did call, packages did get sketched out. For a stretch of days this summer, his future genuinely was uncertain in a way it hadn't been before, because for the first time, his roster spot had to justify itself without his father's name attached to it. And by every account coming out of the organization, it did. Bronny's still there, still developing, still working with the same coach who told him on day one that nobody was giving him anything. The story now isn't about whether the Lakers pushed him toward the door. It's about whether he can keep climbing far enough, fast enough, that his name stops showing up in trade rumors for reasons that have nothing to do with how he actually plays.